Hello and welcome to the Historical Movies Podcast. My name is Ross, and a special episode today, an update to the podcast. We're going to have a summer break for a couple of months. That's the update. If you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see me as well for the first time. So I thought I'd take the opportunity. It's just me today. Bryce is busy in the middle of exam season, but he has left us a message, listeners. We'll listen to it in a second. But I thought what I'd do was basically we'll take a look at some of the comments and questions that you sent us. I'll answer them on the fly. And I thought maybe we'd also do, because we've done 29 films, we do an awards ceremony. Like the Oscars, I've got some categories written down. And of all the films that we've covered on the podcast, and please go and check out our other episodes and our other videos, we'll have a little look through and sort of give out awards for various things. So other news is I'm going to be on a podcast called the Retro Movie Roundtable, which you may have listened to. Really great podcast. If you haven't listened to it, check it out, the Retro Movie Roundtable. I'm recording that next week. I'm not sure when that will be out, but you can follow us on Blue Sky, and Bryce is on Twitter. All the details are in the description to this video or the show notes. So let's get on with some of your comments and questions. First one is Rachel asks, what drama series would you most likely to cover? An interesting question, because we just had the founder of Your Flicks, which is a historical drama brand new streaming service, which is coming I believe in September. We just had Imogen Cooper on the podcast in the last episode. Well, I suppose I would answer this with my favorite personal drama series, and that would be Band of Brothers, which you may be able to see somewhat on the shelf behind me. Or maybe Wolf Hall. I was a big fan of Wolf Hall. Or when I was a kid, I loved Hornblower, the Hornblower series with Ian Griffith as Hornblower. I'm a big fan of that as well. So I would put those movies. But I'm more of a movie person. I don't really go in for... I think movies are the perfect amount of time that you want to spend on one idea. You've got to get all the shots down to as few as possible. You've got to have all your ideas absolutely nailed on, at least in theory. For me, I just don't have the patience to sit through a drama series most of the time. But with the honourable exclusion of Band of Brothers and Wolf Hall, both of which are pretty short series, so maybe that's why. Ryan asks, favorite underrated historical movie most people haven't seen? Well, I've bang on about Stanley Kubrick in this podcast very often. Paths of Glory is possibly one, but it's a great Kubrick movie that I suppose a lot of people haven't heard of. It's pretty old now. I think it's from... I'm not going to pretend I know the date, late 50s, early 60s, but it's black and white with the bum-chinned Kirk Douglas in the role. Fantastic film. There is another film called Failsafe, which no one has heard of. And if you have heard of this film, please let me know, because it's one of my favorite movies. It's from 1964. It's basically about nuclear war, but it's a serious version, you could say, of Dr. Strangelove, the other Kubrick film. I'm not such a massive fan of Dr. Strangelove, I will say. But Failsafe is a great movie that no one's heard of. It's with Henry Fonda as the president, JR from Dallas, the name escapes me, is his sort of helper translating the Russian, and Walter Matthau plays this kind of absolutely psychotic, pure game theorist. Larry Hagman is the name of the actor I was trying to think of. That's a brilliant film that no one has seen. Part of the reason why is because Stanley, it's very similar in theme, but not in style, to Dr. Strangelove, the Kubrick movie. And apparently, Kubrick moved heaven and earth within the industry to get his film, to get Strangelove released before Failsafe, because he knew that whichever one of those films came out first would be the one that was remembered, and the other one would look kind of ridiculous compared to it. So Failsafe is like a serious version of Dr. Strangelove. I prefer it. No one's seen it. If you have seen it, leave a comment down below, because I think it's a wonderful movie. Yeah, so a little bit of underhand by Stanley Kubrick there, getting it released first. And then, of course, when Failsafe was released, as Henry Fonda himself said, everyone thought it was, they couldn't get it around the head. Everyone thought it was a kind of parody or something. It kind of just didn't work, because Kubrick had already stolen the limelight. So although it is based on a book, it's not based on real historical accounts, but it is set during the Cold War. So I'm going to claim that as a technical one. But that would be my favorite underrated historical movie that no one has seen.
Hi, Ross, and hi, listeners, or should I say, Persian Detje, because as you've probably guessed from that greeting, and as our listeners will know, I'm in Albania. Yep, I'm ringing this one in from Tirana. What is he doing there? I hear our loyal listeners asking. Well, long story, and a serious story. As listeners know, I've been trying to source finance for a big historical movie project for around, it was about 2.5 years now. And the movie, which is in development, I'm pleased to say, is a biopic of Hitler's dog, Blondie. From Blondie's carefree days as a young Alsatian puppy to his very sad end in the Führer bunker in Berlin. So, as you'll gather from that, it's a very serious piece. And as we know on this podcast, serious pieces require serious amounts of money. And we've been having a few cash flow problems with the project for the movie about Blondie. Until I saw an ad in the Metro newspaper for clinical trials. So clinical trials, I'm at a lab here in Tirana, 700 quid for 3 days, all of which will go towards the movie. It's, think of it as a sort of crowd fundraiser only clinical trial, basically. So just here now in the clinic, I'm in my cell. I'm wearing one of those hospital bumless gowns. Got a couple of other lads here as well who are doing the clinical trial with me for the cash. Bogdan and 1 second. Sorry, what was your name again, mate? Jeff. Jej. Sorry, Jej. Bogdan and Jej, and we're all good. We've just had Dr. Atarak in here. He's done some. Sorry, 1 second. As I say, we're really good here. Dr. Atarak, a very charismatic guy. He's a very charismatic guy. Just taken some bloods and done some other tests upon us. We're all grand. Bogdan, I think Bogdan you have a little bit of mild scabbing under his armpits, and Jej has a slight swelling. But apart from that, like I say, we're grand. So sorry, can't make it, basically. But duty calls. Clinical trial. Raise the money, put it towards the movie, and can't make it for this episode. But we're all good here in Tirana, and we will be. I'll be back soon, hopefully, in one piece, maybe a few bumps and bruises, but be there soon. Okay, bye.
We've all been also been asked what movies we'd like to cover in the next series. Well, I just watched the Kevin Costner vehicle, 13 Days, about the Cuban Missile Crisis, where Kevin Costner, basically by just giving the Kennedys a pep talk and putting in a few well-placed phone calls, saves the world from nuclear destruction. But it's a really great film. It's actually historically complete rubbish. The character that Costner is playing didn't really do half of the stuff he's proposed to have done, according to people who were actually there. For example, Robert McNamara, the Secretary of Defense, and so on, said it's complete rubbish, but great fun. I've just watched that recently, so I'd love to do that on the podcast next. And I love submarine movies. I'd love to do a submarine movie. There aren't that many that I suppose are truly historically based. K-19, The Widowmaker, again, comes to mind. That's with Harrison Ford. It's not a very good movie. He's got a terrible Russian accent, but it could be good fodder for the podcast because we love crap movies just as good as good movies. Don't we all love sitting down and enjoying like a good crap movie? I really want to get some Kubrick films on. I'm a big fan of Kubrick. I think, as I've mentioned, Paths of Glory is doable, and Full Metal Jacket would be a wonderful film to do. I love that film. Again, they're based on books, I believe, and not historical events, but they're set within historical events. So I think we can get there on a technicality. And the other one I do before I finally drink my cup of tea, I would love to do The Guns of Navarone, which is one of my favorite films of all time. Again, based on an Alistair MacLean novel. It's not historically It wasn't an historical event, but it's such a brilliant movie. It's I think it's my favorite Second World War movie. I'd love to if there was any movie I could remake, I'd remake The Guns of Navarone. Gregory Peck, Anthony Quinn, Anthony Quayle, Stanley Baker. It's such a wonderful movie. And I read somewhere a piece of trivia that it is one of the Coen brothers' favorite movie. I think I've read that, but I have subsequently searched for years and I have not been able to find that piece of trivia. So I may have made that up. But that is a movie that I'd love to do on the pod. Getting on to some comments, then there are some specific comments about some of the movies that we've covered on this. So, for example, about the Patriot. Does the Patriot's portrayal? I haven't written down the username. Apologies for whoever wrote this comment. Does the Patriot's portrayal of British forces cross the line into propaganda? Well, that's a good question. I suppose it is 250 years ago. So you've got to ask yourself, propaganda for what? Does, if you check out our episode on the Patriot, we go into why that is so unbelievably historically inaccurate, that movie. But getting back to the question, does it go into propaganda? I'm not really sure it would qualify as propaganda. It's just nonsense, isn't it? I mean, it's just fun nonsense. The stuff where they burn down the church. Jason Isaacs playing this completely deluded posh upper class Brit. It's great fun. I don't think it's propaganda. It's great fun. James Aaron 7211 says about Michael Collins. Love Neeson, but Collins and Kenneth Branagh look so alike. It's amazing. I've had a look. I think there's some images of Michael Collins that do look like Kenneth Branagh, if you're squinting, maybe. They even have the same smile. Well, I haven't found. I'll have to look into whether they do or not. Although Michael Collins was a big man, more like Neeson. Liam Neeson, as I said on that episode, check it out, gives a wonderful physical performance, really like sort of lumbering in a positive way, rough and tumble kind of physical performance as Michael Collins. I can't really see Kenneth Branagh in that role. I don't think he's quite got the edge that maybe that role requires, because you have to have someone that was absolutely ruthless. So I think as James himself said, love Neeson. I'd stay with Neeson, but it's an interesting idea to get Branagh on board. Braveheart. What's the most egregious historical error in Braveheart? Again, I haven't written down the username. Apologies. Probably either sleeping with the princess, with Princess Isabella, and thus fathering a king of England through the back door. I just realised that sort of sounds like an innuendo. Let's move on. But either sleeping with Princess Isabella, which is just complete historical nonsense, or the tartan, which I think came in a few hundred years later at least. Mel is also wearing woad, the blue face paint, which comes mainly from prehistoric times, and I believe most of the references to the Picts, the tribe in Scotland, that were there in prehistory and all the way up until I think about the 7th century AD. The references to those people wearing woad mainly come from Julius Caesar, I believe. So it's nonsense, frankly, that it's in Braveheart. So maybe it would be one of those three things. Iosipikasu07 says, I've never seen. Oh, this is about. This is tragically about the New World. I've never seen so many people walk out of a theater as this one, and at the time, I didn't blame them. Perhaps I need to go back and give it another chance. You do need to give it another chance. But I can understand why some people don't get that movie. Obviously, everything is a personal choice. Myself and Bryce, if you listen to our episode about the New World, which actually should also qualify for one of the best historical movies that no one's ever heard of. It seems that no one has seen that movie for people that I know, although it is a wonderful film. Go back and check out our episode on that, because Bryce particularly goes into great lengths about why it's such a fantastically, artistic, wonderful depiction. It's a beautiful film, really is great. And so I would say to you, go back, give it another chance. It's a great movie, and it's really worth it. CNTR Man 1705. The Longest Day. Oh, this is about Saving Private Ryan. The Longest Day is not a fair comparison, as not only it was filmed in a different way and time period, it also covered a much wider scope of the battle. Saving Private Ryan is much more comparable to the movie 1917. All three are fantastic movies in their own ways. Yes, you're absolutely right. They all are wonderful movies in their own rights. I think it is a fair comparison. Saving Private Ryan, okay, we just get the first 25 minutes that's about the D-Day landings. But I think the point we were making there is look at war films from the 58, I think, The Longest Day, from the 50s all the way through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then when you get to 98, Saving Private Ryan, it just exploded like a bomb. For me, at least, when I was a kid, I was watching this thinking, I can't watch any other war movie now, particularly the combat. The combat of other war movies just looks absolutely antiquated when you watch Saving Private Ryan, and that's the reason I think it's basically been copied ever since. It is, I suppose, more comparable in filming style, if not content, to 1917. But I think Saving Private Ryan is a much better film personally than 1917. I like 1917, great movie. The one shot thing doesn't really work for me, as I've talked about in the episode. Go and check it out. It's an interesting history behind that. Sort of starts with Alfred Hitchcock when he made Rope in the, I think, late 30s. Yes, no, I think it is a fair comparison to talk about The Longest Day, because there are, I suppose, if have a look at the scenes in The Longest Day when they're sort of when they're on, I think it's Omaha Beach and you've got Robert Mitchum coming through going, "Come on, guys, let's get up the hill and into them." My point that I was trying to make about Saving Private Ryan is it's just completely changed action cinema, especially for combat scenes, in my opinion. And if you listen to that episode, we talk about how that was achieved technically. It's very interesting how they set up the cameras and everything to achieve that. It's a wonderful movie. I also think as well, maybe it's because it was kind of the time in the late 90s when I was a kid and I was really understanding movies and getting into movies. But I think Saving Private Ryan in 98 and The Matrix in 99, what a time to be alive, to be enjoying movies in the late 90s. Flipping out, it was great, the 90s for movies. And those two movies in particular are just absolutely wonderful and revolutionary. Unfortunately, not eligible to be on the podcast, The Matrix particularly, unless we are or all have lived in the Matrix, and this is a simulation. Taylor 915i5w, catchy username, about Mississippi burning is, I won't read it all out, but it basically talks about how we brought up a point that it was actually a piece of trivial trivia. So it's probably bollocks anyway, but basically Gene Hackman's character wears the same suspenders for all of that movie. He makes a very thorough point saying that people didn't have money to buy different suspenders in the 60s, which is correct. However, I think the point we were making is that the trivia it's trivial that Gene Hackman. It also doesn't make any sense. What does that mean? Is he wearing the same pair of suspenders? Are they the same color? Is his character supposed to be wearing the same set of suspenders? Same suspenders all the way through? I'm not sure. That's why we brought it up. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to leave us a comment.
Hi Ross, just an update here from Tirana. If I'm out of breath, sorry, it's because Dr. Atarak has us running around the holding pen here, all part of the trials. Not a good update, I'm afraid. After I spoke with you, mentioned historical movies, I can't believe this, but a bit of a scrap broke out in our cell, essentially over whether Avatar is an historical movie or not. Jej got a little violent. The orderlies had to come. He's in solitary now. Also, Bogdan has pointed out to me that, and he's right, that Blondie was a female dog. We need a complete rewrite of the script. Blondie wasn't a male dog at all. It's a female dog. So, gonna have to be here for more time, I'm afraid. Get a bit more money in the bank for the project. I hope it's going well. Over and out.
So let's get on to our awards. I've just quickly written down some awards here that we're going to go through the movies that we've covered on the podcast so far. So, well, let's just start with the big ones. Best Picture. Now, I think this has got to be between. There's a few contenders. I think Amadeus and The New World. We both in both episodes, we basically our combined tallies were 19, I believe, out of 20. I think I've got that right. So they're equal footing in terms of the marks that we've given. Of course, I was with Jack on Amadeus, not Bryce. I think Saving Private Ryan has to be in the debate for that, and Master and Commando is also a brilliant movie, again, that not a lot of people have seen. But I think, honestly, that although I actually personally scored, I think I gave The New World a 9 and Amadeus a 9.5. I would put The New World, I would give that the award. Just because it's a different, I just think it's a different class of film. Conversely, worst picture, well, that has to be 10,000 BC. I mean, I can't think of, it's absolute garbage. Most historically accurate, I thought I'd do this award. That has to be Apollo 13 because they've taken the actual recordings of the astronauts talking to NASA command and they've integrated that in the script. The most historically inaccurate movie, again, has to be 10,000 BC, I would say. Although, Apocalypto, in the Apocalypto episode, that was the only movie we've covered so far where we basically said this goes too far because it misrepresents an entire civilization. So it's interesting to listen to that episode if you haven't already. To understand why that is. There's some absolutely fascinating history that Mel Gibson basically shites all over in that movie. Nonetheless, a wonderful movie. I like Apocalypto a lot. So, but I think it's got to be 10,000 BC or maybe Braveheart. No, I think it's got to be 10,000 BC. Best director, maybe Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan. I just think that some of the direction in that movie is, I mean, I honestly, and this is going to sound crazy, but some of the direction in that, or some of the actors and the presence and the scenes, I think about almost daily because that was such a massive impact on me, that movie. Or maybe Terrence Malick. Let's give it to Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan. Best actor, of all the films we've covered, I have to mention Gene Hackman in Mississippi Burning. Huge Gene Hackman fan. Or Ralph Ineson, maybe in The Witch. That's a really underrated performance. He's fabulous in that. He's really good. He completely holds the whole film together. I know it was the breakout of Anya Taylor-Joy, but I think Ralph Ineson is really good in that. And if you listen to our episode about that, he also helped out some of the other younger, the kids on set. He actually helped them act their scenes through. But I say this award has to go to F. Murray Abraham for his depiction of Antonio Salieri in Amadeus. I just think that's a wonderful performance. He rightly won the Oscar. And I'd never seen that movie before watching it. And I'd only seen F. Murray Abraham in, I believe he has a bit part in Loaded Weapon 1, which is a parody movie of Lethal Weapon, which we have mentioned on the podcast, one of our favorite parody movies. And I'd only ever seen him taking the piss out of Anthony Hopkins. I think he does an impression of Hannibal Lecter in that movie. And that's the only other movie I'd seen him in, criminally, because in Amadeus, he's just, brilliant. Such a great performance. That gets my award anyway. Best actress, maybe the mother in The Witch, which is a great performance. I think I'm not going to be too woke or anything, but obviously when you do a historical movies podcast, it tends to be stories dominated by men. We haven't done a lot of movies with really strong female leads. I suppose Marie Antoinette would be an exception, but I wouldn't give Kirsten Dunst the Best Actress award. I think she's great in that movie. I wouldn't give her the best award. I think probably maybe Reese Witherspoon in Walk the Line, or maybe the mum in The Witch. Her name is Kate Dickie, I think. She's really good in that movie. Let's give it to Kate Dickie. Yeah. Best sound. Okay, we're getting into the awards that no one gives a about, basically. Best sound. Well, I think let's give it to Master and Commander, because not only does that have a brilliant sound effects mixing, I think it won the award for cinematography and best sound mixing, I believe, those 2 Oscars. Criminally underrated movie. It also has some of the best music in a movie, I think, as well. So I think the whole thing works together, not just the sound effects, but also the period movie, the fact that the fact that they're playing music together, and the type of music that they're playing is picked really well. The soundtrack's fantastic, and I would give that the award for best sound. Interestingly, it's best original score is another Oscar one, isn't it? Because I would give that to Last of the Mohicans, which is a song called The Gale, written by Dougie MacLean, which I failed to mention in our episode on Last of the Mohicans. That was written for a Loch Ness Monster exhibition for a museum. I believe that music was originally written, then it was adapted for Last of the Mohicans, and I would give that. It was not eligible. The Academy in Infinite Wisdom decided it's not eligible because it's an adapted piece of music. It's not originally written. But I would give that best original score. Best stylized portrayal of history. That's the final one I've gotten written down here. That's a good award, actually, because I'm thinking of stuff we've covered. 10,000 BC is a great example of stylized history. Bad stylized history. In fact, isn't there not? I was just thinking there about giving 10,000 BC another award for best special effects, but the graphics are crap in that movie. Like, there's a lot of complaining about how the fur on the saber-toothed tiger and stuff, and a lot of the beginning is like so obviously shot in green screen or blue screen. It's actually, for a movie of that budget, it's really bad. The whole movie is terrible. So I'd say best stylized portrayal of history. I have to mention Marie Antoinette, which is a really fun movie, but I would go with Amadeus. I think Amadeus is, if you think about it, if you think about Tom Hulce playing Mozart, massively stylized version of Mozart, actually based on really interesting historical accounts of his scatological humor, which he wrote to a lot of his family and stuff. But I think that would go for my personal best stylized portrayal of history. So that's, well, there we got to the end. Thank you very much for sitting through, listening to me rabbit on my own. Thank you for listening to all of our episodes this series. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment and like and subscribe. Would really help the podcast. So thank you very much for supporting us. We're going to take a summer break now, as I said at the top, and we'll be back in a few months' time, probably, with the second series of the Historical Movies Podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That's it for this episode of the Historical Movies Podcast. Don't forget to leave us a review on your chosen podcast platform. Spotify and Apple Podcasts make a huge difference to the algorithm. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to leave a comment or a like or subscribe. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.